it's been really an interesting year. We've had a great beginning of the year, but I will tell you we've been recently received some interesting news. And one of the pieces of news that we've received are the budget realities that we're getting ready to face. And those are going to be really tough decisions that we're going to have to make, because we're going to actually have to make some cuts. Always remember that one of the things that I want to make sure that we focus on is that we are a great school district. We have done some really incredible things. The last 5.5 years have just been one of the very finest parts of our district in a long, long time. So what I want to do is focus a little bit on really what is our mantra, what is our focus. Our focus is literacy, engagement, and graduation. We want 100% graduation. So our focus is going to always stay that way, even though we may be going through some budget cuts or some budget constraints that we haven't had in the past. What I want to do today is really kind of talk to you about the district. What does it mean to the district? What's really happened at the state level, and what kind of cuts have we received? If you'll notice, right before the winter break, we had a board meeting, a Board of Equalization, a state meeting, and what they did was they actually did their calculations of really where we're at as far as the money that's been brought in. And so they have now stated that there's a $901 million shortfall in the state budget. Now you might say, well, how did that happen? Well, there's lots of reasons to that, but I will tell you that our first thing was that they did the budget this year on $55 a barrel of oil. Well, now we know that it's below 30. It's about $28 a barrel. And so when that happens, there's a lot of money that is out there that basically is not coming in. So all of the state agencies were asked to take a 3% cut to the state budget. And there are more cuts that we probably will see from the Board of Equalization in February. So I believe they meet in February of February 16th, I believe, is the time that they're going to meet, and probably will cut our budget even greater. So looking at maybe about a $19 to $20 million budget cut to just common education. The interesting thing about all of this is that we actually got a situation to where the State Department of Education, thank goodness, decided to do line item cuts. The line item cuts are a much better situation for us than actually taking a cut 3% across the board. So what they did was they cut $47 million out of the budget, and the expectation is that we were going to take them from specific areas, and I want to go through those areas that were cut at this point. The detailed cuts from the State Department of Education were state aid. State aid was cut approximately $30 million. The flexible benefit allowance was also cut about $12,500,000. Professional development was about $4 million, and then the support administrative and professional development combined there was another $600,000. So when you have a total budget of about $47 million that was cut, we also had the National Board Certified Teachers cut also, so it was 3% across the board, and I believe we have about 60 of those in our school district that are nationally board certified. For Broken Arrow Public Schools, the reduction to state aid was $662,946. So we cut that during that time. The flexible benefit allowance, the FBA that is paid for our employees, was reduced by $321,000. Professional development was about $57,200, and then support administrative was $9,407. Really what that meant to us is a total budget cut of $1,051,000. This chart that you're looking at, it's going to tell you about what's happened. We've had a time where the numbers of students in the state of Oklahoma have risen about 40 to 50,000 students. But if you'll see, our numbers the amount of money that we've been receiving from the state has continued to drop. So we're actually educating 45,000 more students than we did in 2008 and 9, and actually have less money to spend. One of the things that I wanted to do was really look at it from a district perspective. What does that mean for Broken Arrow? Well, same situation. You know, if you look at 08, our numbers were about 16,000 students, and we're pushing 19,000 students in 2016. So when you look at that, we've grown by about 3,000 students, but yet our money for each weighted student is down. It was as high as 3,200, and it's gone down quite a bit. So you can see the same correlation with the state budget and our local budget. Into the future, if we see on the 16th that there's more money cut, let's say they cut about $20 million, that's going to mean about $500,000 to us. So what we will do is basically look at the 15-16 approximately being cut $1.5 million, and then we're also predicting a lot of cuts into the future. So cumulatively, there's a really good chance that we would have to cut between $3.5 and $4 million. So if you look at that, that's going to be one of those things that we've got to really look at internally. One of the realities that we've got to go through is we got to go through a budget reduction process. And so it will be led by myself and this chief financial officer. We'll look at the budget, we'll go through a process internally, and it will start now, of course, and go into June of 2016. During this process, there will be many stakeholders that will involve. We're recommending budget cuts across the board. So I want to make sure that teachers and staff, administrators, parents, all of those folks are really involved in this process so that we really know kind of what the stakeholders really want. And so we'll be sending out a survey at the end of the month. And then the monthly progress report, we'll definitely be doing that at the board meetings, making sure that Mr. Thompson, the CFO, and myself are actually doing presentations at the board to kind of see where we're at. District Budget Committee is also something that we've done for a long period of time. This is something that we've done all 6 years that we've been here. And so what they'll do is they'll actually come up with budget cutting ideas, and that will be sent to the cabinet for their consideration. The survey that will be sent out toward the end of February, and everybody in their respective areas will be able to give recommendations. And then the cabinet will actually make final determinations of where or what the recommendations might be to the Board of Education. You know, one of the things I want to do is kind of give you some of the goals, because I think that's the big thing right now is, so what does this mean to my class size? What does this mean for my position? What I want to do is really, number one, I want to keep the cuts away from the classroom. I want to make sure that that is not happening. Small class sizes are something that we've prided ourselves in Broken Arrow, and I want to continue to do that. I also want to maintain all of the student programs. If you look at the instructional programs that we've put in place, this past year we've got junior ROTC. We have well over 100 students involved in that. We have a video productions class that is tripled in size. We have reading recovery, things at the elementary level that help our young readers become better readers. So those are programs and student programs that we do not want to change. Since we've been here, the last, I believe, 4 years, we've given a stipend, and we want to continue to do that. Now, I can't guarantee how much that will be, but I do know that the Board of Education and myself both feel very strongly that giving an employee stipend each year is really important to us. And then the last thing is always protecting the fund balance. A fund balance is like your savings account, and everybody needs to have a savings account that they can, for that rainy day or that time that you're not going to have money. And so we're probably going to dip into that and making sure that when we do, that we replenish the fund balance the best we can. What have we done so far? I think that's the other thing that people really want to know is, if you've known this, so have you done some things? Well, one is, if you'll notice, we have already seen the gas prices go kind of fluctuate. This has meant that we're able to do some things that we haven't been able to do, and that is save money on fuel. If you can imagine 200 buses on the roads every day, there's a lot of fuel that we go through. So we've been able to save to date $180,000 on just fuel this year. We've eliminated an addition of the arrow point. I know that's something that the community really likes, but we're going to cut back from 6 additions to 5, and we may even cut another, but that's 15,000. And realize that every little bit counts. I think that's the thing that I want everybody to understand, is that these small cuts really add up, and really helping in every area is what we need to do. We're going to reduce one administrator. That's already happened. I think beginning of the year we had an administrator resign in October and take a job in the private sector, and so we did not replace that person. And then we've recently had a support staff member that's also decided to move on to another position. So we're really in what I would call a hiring frost, not a freeze, but a hiring frost. And you can see that just with those small things, we've been able to add up to about $305,000. So everything counts. Possible solutions at the district level: reduce support, certified administrative positions. I think the first thing we're going to do is look at our administrative positions and those areas that we can really not only reduce, but also kind of do things, maybe take on additional responsibilities and duties might be something that we do. So again, I've already said that we're going to try to do everything we can to keep class sizes low, which means that teaching staff is very, very important to us, and that will be one of the last areas that we'll look at. Streamline processes. We need to make sure that we enable consolidation of administration, even the support duties, eliminate redundancies in instructional and business technologies. Some of the things that have happened is we've purchased products, technology products and software that maybe we can do some things with and do different things with. So we're going to look at those kinds of business practices that maybe help us. Looking at reducing travel and utility and printing costs. Those are all things that just a little bit really adds up. So I don't want to get anybody started in on, oh, we're not going to have any paper. We're going to have paper, trust me. But I will say that there's some things and areas in the district office that we could probably do to really help in the printing. And then the last thing is evaluate new revenue streams. I mean, there's always ways to write grants, look for different ways of funding things through federal funds or something else. So it's kind of those kinds of things that really help us offset that. There's not going to be any reduction in force. That's not something that we want to do. You're going to hear other districts that may go into some type of reduction of staffing through a RIF process. That we're not at that stage at this point in time. What we're going to try to do is really do most of our changes through attrition. Those people that actually retire, those folks that actually resign, take other positions, do those kinds of things, we will look at those item by item or position by position. So we want to make sure that everybody understands that's not our intent of this process, is to go through any type of reduction in force. It would definitely be through the attrition process. I want to encourage you to reach out to your legislators and really let them know some of these things that they could do. One is repeal the income tax cuts. If you'll look, there are a lot of tax cuts that have been installed this year. I think we went from 5.25 to 5.0. If you look at that, just that reduction right there was about a $25 million hit to the state budget. So not that it would pay us back when we're looking at $900 million, but at least $25 million would have helped. The sales tax exemptions and corporate tax credits. We're giving tax credits to a lot of different entities, and I understand economic development. I understand the things that we need to do to make sure that our communities are strong and that our state is strong, but we've got to be very smart about those and make sure that we take those one at a time and see if they're really working. And then the state finance reforms. If you look at the reform of our state financial system, you're going to hear a lot from Senator Mazie right out of Tulsa. He's going to talk a lot about how we can reform and maybe look at different things that we could do within our own system. Too many agencies. He's going to talk about reducing the number of agencies and who gets those funds. He's going to talk about other things that we could do to maybe reduce the cost of government. So it'll be interesting to see how his bills take off. Of course, we've all heard about the rainy day fund. The rainy day fund is a lot like our ending fund balance. We know that the rainy day fund is one of those that we can only take 3/5 of that out of the budget at one time. So hopefully they will evaluate that and take some of the rainy day fund money out. The 1-cent sales tax, of course, we've heard of that because President Boren from the University of Oklahoma has recommended this, and we'll see if it gets on the ballot in November, but there has to be so many signatures for that to be on the ballot, and that will be a viable option. You've got the 5-cent gasoline tax, and then you have the wind energy tax. The wind energy tax, if you go out to western Oklahoma or drive to Dallas or any of those places, you're going to see the wind farms. So there's a lot of tax exemptions that have been placed on those, and I think those are going to be reviewed. Of course, the what are called the sin taxes, the $1.50 cigarette tax is one that has been looked at, and we'll get some traction. And then the last one is the school district consolidation. Even though that we're in a big school district, I will tell you that there's really not that much savings you can have in that kind of consolidation, but I do know that there's some small districts out there that could utilize or take advantage of some of the administrative services at school districts our size. So hopefully some of those things can be reviewed. I know that each one of them have bills that are out there to be discussed, and really want to make sure that I shared all of those with you. The next thing is really kind of those questions. What's going to happen? What's next? And I will tell you that for us in our community, our school district, to be really fiscally responsible, we need to cut approximately $3 million before the beginning of the school year next year. So if you're cutting $3 million with the preparation for next year, everything's on the table. You've got to maintain our 4 goals that we set out earlier, but also look at every area and really what I would call just tightening our belt and really trying to figure out what can we do to really make things much better. At the end of the day, what we want to do is really do what's right for kids, and that is teach every day, teach hard every day, and making sure that we're taking care of them. And all of this will take care of itself. We have a great culture. We have the funding capacity to weather the storm this year. So thank you for what you do, and we'll move forward in a positive way.